Hey buddy, glad you made it to my channel. If you're a first-timer, be sure to subscribe and share this video with your friends and family. It helps so much. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I appreciate every single message. Let's kick things off. My name is Philip Cross. For 16 years I worked in digital forensics, tracking cyber intrusions, unraveling financial deception, and testifying in courtrooms where most of the legal professionals could barely follow the tech jargon I used. 3 years ago, I left my government role behind and launched a private consultancy. These days, my clientele is almost entirely corporate, discreet, well-financed, and generally much less complicated. I've always put my faith in systems. People lie. Data doesn't. Clara and I had been together nearly a decade. She ran a boutique art gallery, sleek, lucrative, and with a sterling reputation. We lived in a stylish townhouse, raised our quiet, observant son, Miles. He'd just turned 6. And, from the outside, we appeared to be that picture-perfect family you scroll past on Instagram with a twinge of envy. The first indication that something was off came one Sunday. Ironically, it had nothing to do with Clara directly. It began with a standard maintenance check. My home server logged a minor anomaly during a routine backup review. While digging into it, I noticed something strange in the smart home synchronization records. The front door lock had been manually overridden, twice. Both incidents occurred during times I was scheduled to be at client locations. In cybersecurity, real red flags usually don't look like red flags until you understand what normal is supposed to look like. I pulled the timestamps and ran a cross-reference. A pattern surfaced, every Wednesday, just after 2 p.m., exactly when Clara typically said she was in design meetings at the gallery. I decided to investigate further. I installed a silent monitoring script on the guest Wi-Fi, just a passive listener that would log any devices connecting while I was out. That next Wednesday, while I was consulting in Jersey, a device labeled PG42 pinged our network. 2 minutes later, Clara texted, "Hey, how's traffic?" I didn't answer. I logged the IP address, captured the MAC, and archived the session details. That evening, everything was business as usual. We had dinner. She asked about my day and smiled when I told her Miles had shown an interest in chess. Nothing in her behavior hinted she suspected anything was amiss. And that's when it struck me. She didn't just have secrets. She thought I was too blind to notice. The PG42 tag led me to a laptop registered to someone named Peter Salinger, a licensed architect. Clara had mentioned him once, said he'd done a quick consult for a potential remodel at the gallery. At the time, I didn't give it a second thought. Now I was combing through his background. He looked legit. Top-tier education, an impressive client list, most of it private sector work. There was nothing definitively linking them beyond a design invoice, but I uncovered a photo of them together at a fundraiser 2 months back. Clara never told me she'd gone. She wore that navy dress I remembered complimenting. Over the next few weeks, I kept surveillance low profile. No new installations, too risky. The house was already rigged with basic camera coverage. I adjusted the hallway motion sensors to forward their logs to me and quietly reactivated facial recognition on the front door system. Nothing invasive, just enough to spot any behavioral patterns. They were careful. No texts, no calls, no trail. But Peter used a zero-knowledge cloud storage provider, fully encrypted. I cloned Clara's tablet and mimicked its sync behavior. Thursday morning, I hit something. The files appeared to be architectural diagrams, but one PDF didn't fit. It was a scan of a handwritten note. "He's predictable. Always gone Wednesdays. We just need the story locked down." Then came a second line that turned my blood cold. "He won't resist. He gets sentimental. I'll take the house. You get the gallery shares. He'll disappear." My hands didn't shake. I've sat through murder trials without blinking, but I read that note 4 times. This wasn't about an affair. It was a blueprint, a clinical, methodical plan to erase me and Miles from her life. No emotion, just calculated erasure. That night, Clara came home chatty, complaining about a temperamental client. She laughed, kissed me, told me I looked worn out. I nodded, told her she was probably right. On the inside, I was already locking down my perimeter. Next step, gather indisputable proof and find leverage. For that, I needed Emma. Emma Reyes and I go way back. We joined the bureau around the same time, both recruited into digital ops. She left after 8 years, went private, and now worked high-end PI gigs. Emma was exacting, unemotional, flawless. We met at a Canal Street diner. She slid into the booth without a word. "What's the job?" she asked. "My wife's planning to erase me," I said. "She's working with a guy named Peter Salinger. On paper, he's an architect." Emma nodded once, took out her tablet, and made a note. "You want exposure?" "No, I want him tracked. Quietly. I need leverage. Nothing dramatic." "Give me 48 hours," she said. By Saturday, I had the full dossier. Peter Salinger wasn't just drafting blueprints. He operated 3 shell companies tied to real estate deals in Miami and Vancouver. All 3 were under quiet investigation. Wire fraud, suspected money laundering. No charges yet, but the circumstantial evidence was damning. The man had been running a long con behind the curtain. Clara's art gallery had unknowingly become a cog in a laundering operation, disguised as a fake renovation subsidy funneled through one of Peter's shell corporations. This wasn't just infidelity anymore. She was helping move his dirty money. Whether by oversight or complicity no longer mattered. The line had already been crossed. I had retrieved the prenuptial agreement. It was Clara who had insisted on signing it before the wedding. I hadn't objected, but she never reviewed the entire appendix. Tucked inside the fine print was a clause that nullified all protections if either party was ever implicated in fraud or intentional misconduct. That clause was ironclad. Without alerting her, I reallocated our liquid assets into a secure trust. She couldn't touch a dollar without a court order. I deliberately left the joint accounts as they were. I wanted her to feel stable, unaware. That's when people slip. Miles was the last variable. I had access to his school portal, her calendar, and a live GPS tracker synced to her phone. If things turned ugly, I could leave with Miles and still be fully compliant with the law. Any custody angle she might pursue, I had already neutralized. The pivot came on a Tuesday. At exactly 10:17 a.m., a courier delivered an envelope to my office. Heavy paper, formal legal header. The cover letter came from Jonathan Rowe, her attorney. I knew the name. He specialized in high-net-worth divorces and was notorious for spinning abuse claims to gain emergency custody. The letter leveled accusations of emotional cruelty, psychological manipulation, and implied witnesses who had allegedly seen my outbursts. None of it was factual, but if it reached the court first, it could still do damage. Attached was a motion requesting emergency custody of Miles. They were coming fast. I called my attorney immediately, forwarded everything, and told him to be ready. That night, I got home earlier than usual. Clara was stretched out on the sofa, acting as if nothing had changed. I walked past her, put down my briefcase, and opened the refrigerator. "I take it you've read the letter," she said casually. I turned. "I have." She didn't blink. "It's not personal, Philip. It's just what's true. You've been emotionally absent for years. Miles needs someone stable." "Did you rehearse that?" I asked. "You won't win. It's the first version of the story the judge hears that sticks. By the time you correct it, the harm's done." I gave a single nod. "That's true." She faltered, just slightly. "But it won't be your story that gets told first," I said. "We file tomorrow. Emergency custody. My terms. You don't have any leverage." I stepped out and came back with a slim folder. I placed it on her lap. Inside, surveillance stills, financial statements, logs of her calls with Peter, documented transfers from her gallery to his fake companies, and the prenup clause, clearly marked. She leafed through the contents slowly. Her mouth parted a fraction. "You hacked into my tablet," she said flatly. "I mirrored it," I said. "You left the backup login on your work laptop. This is illegal. It's not admissible. It's our shared network, and Emma already turned everything over to federal investigators." "They're not after you," I added. "They're coming for Peter." She stayed silent. "This is your one shot to walk away clean," I told her. "Otherwise, the next phase isn't negotiation. It's annihilation." By Thursday morning, all her financial access was revoked. The gallery's payment history triggered a federal review. Emma contacted someone she knew in financial crimes. 2 of Peter's shell corporations were frozen, linked to bogus art deals. That same afternoon, Peter Salinger disappeared. Office cleared, phones disconnected. His assistant knew nothing, but Emma dug up a flight record. He'd fled the country under an alias. Final destination, Casablanca. One-way ticket. No electronic trail. Then Clara called, for the first time since our showdown. I let it go to voicemail. A follow-up email came a few minutes later. Subject line, private resolution. "Can we speak?" "Just the 2 of us. I want to fix this." I agreed, but with one condition. We'd meet at her lawyer's office. Public, official, controlled. She arrived 10 minutes late. No makeup, hair pulled back loosely. She looked drained, or cornered. Ro looked worse, pale, unshaven, resigned. "You win," Clara muttered as she dropped into the chair. "I'm not playing games," I replied coldly. She didn't meet my eyes. "What do you want?" "Miles. Full custody. You'll have visitation, supervised, on my schedule." "That's not right," she said. "You're erasing me. You lied. You tried to destroy my name. You led our son around a con man. You don't get to decide what's fair." Ro cleared his throat, about to interject. "I'm not here to bargain," I cut in. "You'll sign what I bring, or I escalate. Formal charges, gallery shuttered, criminal case underway. Peter's already gone. You can follow him. You'll be the one left to face the consequences." Clara didn't answer. Her face wore the look of someone silently calculating how much pain she could withstand in confinement. Rose scanned the contract one last time, gave a brief nod, then slid the document toward her. Clara took the pen, paused for a moment, and signed her name. Each page felt clinical, stripped of emotion. When it was done, she turned to me. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Just the 2 of us?" I hesitated, then gave her a quiet nod. We stepped into a small office just off the corridor. She closed the door gently behind her. "What went wrong between us?" Her voice was barely audible. "You did," I said, and I stopped pretending it wasn't happening. She leaned against the wall, arms folded, not in defiance, but in fatigue. "You were never simple," she said. "Everything had to be planned, safe, locked into a schedule. There was no room for me. And that gave you the right to betray me, to frame me, to walk away with someone like Peter?" "No," she admitted. "It doesn't justify it, but maybe it helps explain it." "Then explain it," I said. She looked straight at me, for the first time in what felt like forever. "I didn't love you, Philip," she said. "I respected you. I appreciated what we created. But I always felt like I was living in your house, not our home. You never made space for me to truly belong." I said nothing. I let her speak. "Peter was unpredictable," she went on. "Impulsive, alive. You gave me safety, yes. But I always felt like you were bracing for me to fail you, like you expected it from the start." "I wasn't expecting it," I said. "I was just prepared in case it happened. There's a difference." A thick silence settled between us. "I still don't understand how you uncovered it all," she whispered after a pause. "You misjudged me," I replied. "You thought my silence meant I wasn't paying attention. But the quiet ones? We build our walls while you're still delivering your monologues." Her voice lost some of its sharpness. "Do you hate me?" "No," I said. "I forgave you a while ago. That's why you're leaving with your name intact and your freedom untouched." She swallowed hard. "What about Miles? What will you tell him?" "That you left, that I stayed, that when the moment came, I chose him." Tears welled in her eyes, but none fell. "You really think you came out ahead?" "I didn't win," I said. "I lasted. You played like I was blind. I was scripting the final act while you were still rehearsing scene 3. She took a step forward, her hand twitching as if to reach for me, but she stopped herself. "You're going to be alone," she whispered. "I can live with that," I said. "At least I won't be living a lie." I opened the door and walked away, leaving her in the hush of a truth too loud to ignore. The silence that followed thundered louder than anything she might have said. 3 months passed. The house settled into its own quiet rhythm. Miles adjusted faster than I'd anticipated. Kids know how to feel safe, and that's what matters. We found a routine: morning drop-offs, weekend ball games, pancakes every Saturday without fail. I never mentioned his mother unless he asked. When he did, I kept it simple. She needed time. That was enough for now. Clara's gallery had changed hands. Her name had been scrubbed from the signage, erased like chalk from slate. She didn't contest custody, probably because she knew she wouldn't survive another loss. Last I heard, she was renting a condo and looking into adjunct teaching positions. Peter? He vanished. Emma had sent me a police report. He was caught in Tangier, holding fake passports, bundles of money, and a wallet full of IDs that weren't his. He'd left Clara behind long before their flight. She wasn't a partner, she was a mark, and she only figured it out when it was already too late. That morning, I sat in my office, watching Miles toss a football in the backyard. The old instinct stirred, the one that knows where to look when something doesn't sit right. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Then I pressed play. "Mr. Cross, my name is Angela Green," a woman's voice began. "I don't know if you handle personal investigations, but I believe my husband is planning to disappear with our children. I think he's done this before." I reached for a pen, flipped open a fresh notepad, and wrote down her name. Outside, Miles's laughter burst through the window like sunlight, bright, unhindered, real. I listened closely to the rest of the message. Steady, thoughtful, composed. The world's full of people who think silence is submission. They believe quiet means weakness. Eventually, they learn the truth. I picked up the phone. "Go ahead," I said. "Start at the beginning. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.